A moving, miraculous, and touching audiobook. Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to share a heartbreaking love story. This is a moving story based on a true story that will deeply resonate with the hearts of middle-aged and older adults. Let's start the passionate love story between a Korean son-in-law and an American mother-in-law. This story goes beyond simple romance. It's a profound journey of overcoming human hardship and loss, and discovering the meaning of new family, the tragedy our protagonists endured, and the love that blossomed despite it all. Will touch your emotions and make you think again about the meaning of life. Before reading the story, I would like to politely request that you subscribe, like, and leave a comment. As you know, I would also like to tell you that your interest and consideration are what determine whether this video can continue to be seen for a long time. Now, let's open that touching prelude. The story begins with Ji-woo, a passionate Korean YouTuber. In his early 30s, he was a free spirit who traveled the world, capturing beautiful landscapes and stories of people on film. His camera lens was always pointed toward new discoveries, and his steps were always moving in search of new adventures. He considered it his calling to communicate with diverse people across cultural and linguistic barriers, and to share fragments of their lives with the world. Ji-woo's YouTube channel has been beloved by many subscribers for his sincerity and humor, and his videos always convey hope and positive energy. He didn't just capture beautiful scenery. He sought out the true stories of the people living within it. His travels were not mere pleasures, but a constant journey of exploring the depths of life. One sunny day, Ji-woo has a fateful encounter at an exotic tourist destination in Brazil. It was a place bustling with vibrant people, under the hot sun and the colorful cultures blended together to create an exotic charm. There he meets a traveling American mother and daughter, Mrs. Jenny, and her strikingly beautiful daughter, Maria, in her mid-20s. Maria was a lively, intelligent woman with a charm that would captivate anyone at first sight. My mother, Mrs. Jenny, was also a kind woman in her early 50s, with an elegant and dignified appearance and a warm smile. Moreover, Mrs. Jenny, who is a painter by profession, had the sense to draw Ji-woo's playful poses in her sketchbook that she always carried with her. Ji-woo applauded and exclaimed, "Oh, nice,
Despite
Mom."
meeting
For the first time, the three quickly bonded, as if they were old friends. engaging in an engaging conversation about Korean and American culture. When the Brazilian Carnival Street Parade unfolded, we enjoyed ourselves dancing along with the dancers as if we were one family. When Jiwoo and Maria faced each other and performed a dance performance, not only Mrs. Jenny but also the local dance troupe congratulated them with cheers and applause. Jiwoo told the story with a mix of Korean sentiment and humor, and Maria and Jenny responded with their characteristically honest and cheerful American responses. They were amazed by each other's cultural differences, and sometimes they found common ground and laughed. This brief encounter fostered a deep curiosity and positive impression of each other, which led to the development of an unexpected relationship. They explored Brazil's beautiful beaches, celebrated its famous samba festivals, and explored vibrant markets, deepening their understanding of one another as they share honest stories about each other's culture and lives. The three naturally begin their journey together in the beautiful scenery under the hot sun of Brazil. Jiwoo and a tender feeling of love began to sprout in Maria's heart. Their eyes sparkled with excitement for each other, and even the smallest gestures contained the language of love. Maria was deeply captivated by Jiwoo's warmth, humor, and passion for the world. She was impressed by Jiwoo's unique, positive energy and consideration for others. Jiwoo also saw in Maria's bright and pure appearance, and in her strength and independent charm, the image of a lifelong companion. He was deeply inspired by his conversations with Maria and sensed the boundless happiness she would bring to his life. Love came unexpectedly, and the two realized that each other's existence was the most precious thing in the world. Their trip together in Brazil was a dreamlike experience for them, and they spent their days filled with excitement, dreaming of a future together. Every morning, waking up was a joy, and Maria's smile was the greatest source of energy for Jiwoo. They explored various parts of Brazil, making unforgettable memories, walking hand in hand and taking commemorative photos with their smartphones. Every now and then, pledging their eternal love. Mrs. Jenny also watched the beautiful love between the two. Young people with joy and blessed them. She recognized Jiwoo's sincerity and deep affection for Maria at a glance, and sincerely supported her daughter's happiness. Their love deepened and grew stronger under the intense Brazilian sun. So, I don't know if that's why, but one day, without anyone saying anything, we rented a room at a local hotel and started traveling together. Of course, accommodation is one thing. But strangely enough, Jiwoo and Maria became close. During their trip without any hesitation, and they seemed to really enjoy talking about the cultural differences and characteristics of Korea and the United States. The mother thoughtfully arranged a special conversation for her daughter Maria, and that was the starting point. Jiwoo, you must be bored. How about we sleep in the same room? We can chat with Maria. Two, I said, sounding out Jiwoo's wishes in a very cool manner. Jiwoo said, "Of course it's good," and clapped her hands. Mom, I thought sleeping alone would be lonely and desolate. But thank you, and even acted cute. And that's how things developed. As expected, they rented a room at a local hotel and chatted all night long, not realizing it was daylight. Jiwoo said he wanted to show Maria Korea, and Maria said she would be happy to go anywhere, as long as she was with Jiwoo. So these three people came to Korea very coolly and took Maria to Hongdae Street, the birthplace of Korean K-pop culture, that Maria had been longing to see so much. Gangnam intersection, Gyeongbokgung Palace, and Namsan Mountain, which are regular filming locations for Korean dramas, and talked about interesting traditional Korean culture. In particular, they showed off their sense by holding a birthday party for Maria on a cruise ship on the Han River. On the last day, I invited Jiwoo to my home and had a small dinner with his parents to introduce them to each other. The highlight of the day was Maria's hanbok fashion show. When Jiwoo's mother took out the hanbok she had worn in her younger days from the closet and put it on Maria, she kept praising how pretty it was. When Maria, with her quick wit, spun around the living room like a model at a Paris fashion show, Jiwoo's parents were so impressed that they kept praising her, saying they wished she would be their daughter-in-law. He said, "Where else can you find a match? Made in heaven like this?" Leaving behind this dreamlike time, the time of parting has arrived. The next day, I had to go back to the US, but unexpectedly, Maria asked her mother, Jenny, an unexpected question, saying, "Mom, Korea is beautiful. I want to live in Korea, but we shouldn't immigrate to Korea." At that moment, to Jiwoo, who was already thinking of Maria as his eternal spouse, it must have sounded like sweet welcome news. I've never said anything this cool in my life, but I really had to say something today. So I declared that if Jiwoo and I get married, it would be easy to live as immigrants. Jenny, who was listening to this, said that she was also quite cool, but she thought that she needed to think more about marriage. And on the way back to the US, he made a counteroffer saying Should Jiwoo come with me? There was something about him that he liked. But he probably said it because he wanted Jiwoo to see their family life. In fact, I was worried that since Mrs. Jenny was a widow and Maria was an only daughter, this issue would become a stumbling block for Jiwoo's family. It must have been to show Jiwoo directly what that environment was like. That he wanted to take Jiwoo to America. Anyway, their future looked as beautiful as a bright rainbow. But fate sometimes plays cruel tricks. After a happy trip, they returned to the United States and were on their way back to Maria's home when an unbelievable tragedy struck the three of them. On a winding hill at the entrance to the highway, everything seemed to stop in an instant when a large truck suddenly appeared and collided with it. The shock and pain of that moment was unimaginable. Their peaceful moments were shattered, and a horrific reality, blurring the lines between life and death, overtook them. The three were rushed to the hospital. But unfortunately, Maria died at the scene. The sudden death of the young and beautiful Maria was a shock to Jiwoo and Mrs. Jenny. Jiwoo shuddered with the grief of losing his beloved Maria and the guilt of being the only one to survive. Mrs. Jenny suffered serious injuries to both legs and underwent emergency surgery. Fortunately, only Jiwoo miraculously survived, with minor abrasions. But in his heart, a deep wound. And sorrow that could not be erased took root. Maria's vibrant smile was still vivid in his mind, and the fact that she was no longer in this world was a pain that Jiwoo could not bear. He was overcome with a sense of helplessness, feeling that there was nothing he could do. I was in deep pain, filled with grief, guilt, and despair over the loss of my beloved Maria. His life seemed to have lost all its light in an instant. Every night, Maria's face would haunt me. And during the day, flashbacks of the tragic accident would continue. He abstained from food and drink and could not accept Mary's death. But he couldn't just sit there like this. Even amidst the grief of losing Maria, a strong sense of responsibility to care for Mrs. Jenny dominated his mind. Jiwoo knew that the only person Mrs. Jenny could rely on was herself, and he vowed to protect Mrs. Jenny for Maria's sake. With her parents' consent, he decides to bring Mrs. Jenny to Korea, where medical facilities are convenient. I had faith that Korea would be able to provide the best treatment for Mrs. Jenny. Because before becoming a YouTuber, I had worked as a massage therapist. at a large hospital. He boarded the plane to Korea while personally caring for Mrs. Jenny, who was in a wheelchair. Mrs. Jenny was also deeply grieving over the loss of her beloved daughter and the despair of her own body being destroyed. But Jiwoo's devoted care was a great comfort and hope to her. At a major hospital in Korea, Mrs. Jenny underwent a thorough examination. But the doctor's diagnosis was truly harsh. The diagnosis was that both legs had to be amputated because the nerves leading down to both legs had ruptured. This news was another setback. For Mrs. Jenny, she had already lost her daughter and was badly injured. So it seemed she couldn't bear it any longer. Jiwoo stayed by Mrs. Jenny's side like a shadow and respected all her decisions. He gave Mrs. Jenny ample time, understood her feelings, and offered comfort. He promised that he would not leave Mrs. Jenny's side no matter what choice she made. Ultimately, Mrs. Jenny decided to proceed with the surgery. According to our own opinion, thanks to Jiwoo's sincere care and courageous attitude, and Jiwoo expressed deep respect for her courage, he took Mrs. Jenny's hand and encouraged her by saying, "I will be with you. Don't think you are alone." The surgery was successful, but Mrs. Jenny now faces the reality of having to live without both legs. Her life was bound to be completely different from before. Jiwoo did everything he could to help Mrs. Jenny with her rehabilitation and help her adjust to her new life. He went to physical therapy with her, helped her learn how to use a wheelchair, and was willing to do anything she needed. Although patient care was difficult and arduous, fortunately, Jiwoo said that his experience as a massage therapist at a hospital before becoming a YouTuber was of great help. After the surgery, Jiwoo put Mrs. Jenny in a wheelchair and headed back to the United States. Jiwoo, who knew full well that Mrs. Jenny was already a widow without a husband, decided to stay by her side and help her with all her daily life. Mrs. Jenny's house near Los Angeles, USA, was a place filled with memories of Maria and Jiwoo. Felt Maria's traces there and missed her even more. But at the same time, he was filled with a sense of responsibility and compassion for Mrs. Jenny. He was the closest person to her, supporting her so that she would not be lonely and would not lose the courage to live a new life. Even amidst the grief of losing Maria, Mr. Jiwoo remained by Jenny's side with deep compassion and familial love. He saw Maria in Jenny's eyes and felt Maria's warmth through her. He was the closest person to Mrs. Jenny, supporting her so that she would not be lonely and would not lose the courage to live a new life. Jiwoo's devoted care gradually opened Mrs. Jenny's heart. Jiwoo never loses his bright smile and says to Mrs. Jenny, when I see Jenny's mom, I think of Maria. His voice was filled with sincere affection and longing, and each word warmed Mrs. Jenny's heart. Mrs. Jenny shed tears, saying that when she saw Jiwoo like that, it was like seeing her dead Maria. Their tears contained the sorrow of losing a loved one, as well as a deep sense of empathy and connection with one another. Jiwoo told Mrs. Jenny about her memories with Maria, and they became each other's confidants, laughing and crying together. The two lived like family, embracing each other's pain. Mr. Jiwoo helped Mrs. Jenny, who was in a difficult situation, eat, change her clothes, help her move around in her wheelchair, and even gave her a full-body massage, using his own strength to relax her stiff thigh muscles. He also showed his humanitarian spirit by personally helping Mrs. Jenny use the toilet and even bathe her. Also, even though she was not yet fully grown when Mrs. Jenny said she wanted to paint, I immediately set up the canvas for her and even personally provided her with a palette and brushes to make it easier for her to paint, and I wholeheartedly supported her. Like this, I stayed by her side all day long, until she went to bed every night. His devotion was not born of mere duty, but of genuine love and humanity. He felt Mrs. Jenny's pain, as if it were his own, and spared no effort to breathe hope into her life. Mrs. Jenny felt the warmth of her daughter, Maria, in Jiwoo's hands and was deeply moved by his devotion. Impressed by this sight, Mrs. Jenny carefully confided her feelings to Jiwoo. One day, late at night, when the wind and rain were blowing fiercely outside the window and thunder and lightning were striking violently, Jiwoo, I was dating a man 25 years ago, and I had a one-night stand with him and got pregnant with Maria. My boyfriend, Maria's father, passed away in a car accident the very next day. And I was a virgin at the time, and raised Maria for 25 years, without knowing anything. My boyfriend's family didn't care about Maria at all, and I raised Maria alone for 25 years, as a single mother. Fortunately, I had entered the world of painting early on, and was able to earn a little bit of money to cover my living expenses. If not for that, and if I hadn't had a job, Maria would probably have ended up in an orphanage. Her eyes were filled with complex emotions, and her voice was trembling. I guess we're destined, Jiwoo. Shall we live together like this until the day we die? Her words contained the pain of the past years, along with deep trust and love for Jiwoo and loneliness. It wasn't simply the confession of a lonely woman looking for a place to turn. It was her sincere response to Jiwoo's unwavering dedication and love. Jiwoo was deeply moved by Mrs. Jenny's confession and realized that an uncontrollable love for her was blossoming in his heart. He took Mrs. Jenny's hand and spoke sincerely. Jiwoo also couldn't hide his feelings. For Mrs. Jenny, he hugged Mrs. Jenny, warmly, repeatedly saying, "I love you." In an instant, the electricity went out, and the world was plunged into darkness. Only occasional lightning and thunder ruled the night. Their embrace was more than mere comfort or compassion. It was an expression of genuine love for one another, signifying a deep connection of souls, just as Adam and Eve first fell in love, they too, with pure and clean hearts, bare of any tangle, celebrated the flower feast of their noble and sublime love. In their embrace, they healed each other's wounds and foresaw a new beginning. It was the moment when all the emotions that had been building up over the past time exploded. That night, as a terrible thunderstorm raged outside the window, they embraced each other's wounds, shared each other's pain, and finally connected their bodies and minds. Jiwoo's young and energetic. Passion started with a strong caress, and as he showered Mrs. Jenny's lips with the baptism of hot kisses, a shiver of excitement and joy rose throughout her body, igniting her strong instincts that had been frozen for a while. Finally, Mrs. Jenny felt an indescribable joy that reached the peak of her power and trembled for a while. With an exclamation of, "Oh my God," from the depths of her heart, this is love. This is the pure, unblemished love of Adam and Eve, where soul and body become one, Jiwoo repeated to himself. Mrs. Jenny also thought that this kind of love, where the soul and body become one, was a truly mystical experience that she had never felt, even with her deceased husband. And she buried her face in Jiwoo's chest and shed tears of joy without stopping. It was not a simple physical relationship, but a deep connection of souls, a fateful rite of passage that filled each other's emptiness. They felt each other's body heat and seemed to be putting the pieces of their lost love back together, looking into each other's eyes. They confirmed their strong belief that they would have a future together, and that belief blossomed into a flower of trust. As the couple held their wedding ceremony, in the courtyard of a local welfare center near Mrs. Jenny's house watched by the villagers. Jiwoo's parents and siblings also flew in from Korea to offer their sincere congratulations on their marriage. So Jiwoo and Jenny became a couple and started a new life, and their love will be remembered as a very sad, yet beautiful story that touched the hearts of senior viewers around the world. They became a legally recognized couple through legal procedures, and their marriage was fully recognized in American society. Their marriage was far from a simple calculation or an affair. It was a meeting of two souls who, in the midst of deep loss, became each other's only comfort and hope. And it was the fruit of a true love that transcended all else. And a year later, an amazing miracle happened before them. A beautiful daughter was born to Mrs. Jenny, despite being an unusually full-term mother. In her early 50s, Jenny's health was surprisingly good. Jiwoo and Jenny decided to name this child Shimaria. It means that the English word "see Maria"
meaning
is abbreviated as "see," which means that Maria has returned. The love that blossomed in sorrow shows that it is a true bond that transcends all things. The story of Jiwoo and Jenny, who understood and embraced each other's pain and chose to spend the rest of their lives together, deeply moves us and reminds us of the true meaning of love. Their story proves that love can transcend age, nationality, and even the pain of loss. It's a touching example of how true love can come in unexpected forms, provide the greatest comfort in the most difficult moments, and ultimately give new meaning to life. Everyone, Jiwoo and Jenny's story isn't just a simple romance. It is a profound narrative that reminds us of humanity, hope, and the true meaning of family, that blooms amidst the pain of life. Their stories also give us courage and hope, that even in the most desperate situations, love finds a way and life goes on, while holding an unchanging longing for Maria in his heart. He did his best to be Jenny's new life partner. Jenny, too, was able to smile again and find meaning in life through Jiwoo, despite the grief of losing her daughter and the physical challenges she faced. The sight of these people relying on each other and pioneering a new life will serve as an example to many. Don't you think? Their stories clearly demonstrate that, despite the countless difficulties we face in life, what ultimately sustains us are love and human connection. No matter how difficult or unpredictable the situation, there is a fundamental desire in the human heart to love and be loved. Jiwoo and Jenny fulfilled this desire through each other, creating a love that is like the most beautiful flower that blooms in pain. Their love transcended conventional, social conventions and common views, but its sincerity shone brighter than any other love. All the trials and tribulations the two have endured have ultimately become catalysts that have made them stronger and deepened their love for each other. In this way, fate sometimes leads us in unexpected directions, but within it we also find unexpected love and hope. The story of Jiwoo and Jenny is a testament to the great human love that blossoms, even in the midst of hardship. We hope that their touching story will remain in your hearts for a long time and serve as an opportunity to once again reflect on the value of true love. If you feel that this story has brought a little resonance and comfort to your life, please subscribe and like. We earnestly request that you please press and leave a comment, expressing your blessings for Jiwoo and Jenny. Thank you for listening for such a long time. A moving story of a miraculous, successful life. Audiobook. See you next time. Rest in peace.